In this video, I want to show you about the Smart Dimension tool, and we'll take a look at a few other things along the way. But the Smart Dimension tool can be had from your sketch toolbar, and it's at the top of the list. If you need dimensions like baseline dimensions or chain dimensions or ordinate dimensions, you can get these from this drop-down list, but we're just going to talk about the Smart Dimension tool right here. Smart Dimension can get horizontal dimensions, vertical dimensions, angled dimensions by selecting two lines, or angled dimensions by selecting 3 points, with the vertex being the first point that you select. You can get a radial dimension, and you can even change that to a diameter dimension. By default, radial dimensions are assigned to arcs, and diameter dimensions are assigned to full circles. You can select the Smart Dimension tool also from the right mouse button menu. And if you pick 2 points, you can get either the aligned dimension, the horizontal, or the vertical dimension. The same goes if you select an angled line, you can get the aligned dimension, the horizontal, or the vertical. And here's another cool tip that I'll show you. This one in particular is going to be good for an angled dimension where you're selecting 3 points. I'm going to go and initiate a Smart Dimension, select the vertex first, and then 2 points. And notice that Solidworks is picking up other things along the way. So I've selected 3 points, and I've got my angle dimension going here. But let's say I've made a mistake somehow, and I wanted to select a different point. Now that you've got 3 points selected, if you press escape once, it removes the last thing that you picked, and you can reselect another point. If you press escape twice, it unselects the last 2 things that you selected, and you can go back and select 2 other points. And if you press escape 3 times, guess what's going to happen here? You can go back and reselect all of the points for your angle dimension. But guess what? As long as you haven't placed that dimension yet, you can hit escape 4 times and it will unselect everything, and then the last escape will get you out of the dimension tool. If you're going to dimension to the center of a circle, from this end line that we just click on the circle and it automatically goes to the center. If I don't want that center, guess what I can do? I can press that escape button and use the shift key to select near the outer tangent, and I can pick up that line distance to the outer tangent. You can do the same thing if you have a couple of circles and a circle here. Shift click on the near side, shift click on the near side, and I've got a horizontal closest dimension between the 2 circles. I could also get the aligned dimension or the vertical dimension. It's all on where you click to pick the circles and where you click to place the dimension. There are a couple other little things I like to show. One is an arc length. The arc length allows you to select first the arc itself, in which case it would give you a radius, but then you could also pick 2 endpoints, and notice along the way here I'm getting a dimension from the endpoint to the center, and if I click that 3rd endpoint, this gives me an arc length dimension. That's been in the software for a long time. Some people treat it like it's new, but it's been there for a couple of decades, I think. There are some other things that are new. For example, if you have a spline and you want to put a dimension on the spline, you can click on the spline and get an overall length. Otherwise, the kinds of dimensions you're going to get here are going to be X and Y, or length to an endpoint, or to inner control points. And yes, you can drive the length of the spline with this length dimension. Okay, I'm going to declutter the screen now with Control A and delete. And let's take a look at one of the options that's available from Tools Options in the Sketch. We've talked about this in a previous video, but the combination of enable on-screen numeric input and create dimension only when value is entered is a very cool combination. For example, we showed the creation of a rectangle where we click one corner, start to drag out the other corner, and now we can key in values. And because we have both of those options turned on, it automatically adds dimensions to the rectangle. This is not always something that you want. For example, if you're drawing lines like this, and it's just going to give you the length of the current line. It's not always going to dimension it the way that you would want to dimension your drawings. So it's not always something that you want to have turned on. But if you look at your right mouse button menu, rather than going through the Tools Options dialog, which is huge and oftentimes takes a long time to come up, you can turn it off here. And now you're not encumbered by those numbers coming up all the time. Okay, and just to remind yourself, turn it back on, and there we have the numbers popping up again. So the SolidWorks Smart Dimension is smarter than ever. It has a lot of hidden functionality that you could really make use of. Once you get used to some of these settings and options, you can really cruise through sketches. Thanks for watching.